Alright, looks like we're connected now. Yeah, talk a little, Laura, just so we can ask them. It doesn't. I hope it's not doing that thing again. What was that setting?
It was start immediately when you start streaming, basically. Start when data is received.
Alright, let me see if I can just make sure.
It says live now. Okay, it says live now. I'm seeing people watching.
Okay. You see us?
Yes.
Alright.
And I'm going to go ahead and share the link with Slack. Okay. Oh, Stacey said can't hear me.
Okay.
Worst case scenario, then you just do a presentation without having to me. So.
I'll just look at the audio and see if I can switch it.
You might want to just change it to computer default audio. Oh, it says she's very quiet, so maybe it's going through your speakers.
System sound, should I just do that to my...
Not system sound.
Okay.
The other one, change it to default speakers for microphone, or default. Microphone. I think change it to default for microphone. Change it to like default device or whatever.
Default microphone?
Default microphone.
Alright guys, let us know.
And it might not be putting my voice through there just because Skype is being weird. So.
Yeah.
Oh, and maybe add Skype as one of the little outputs in there back in XSplit. Thanks, Stacey, for the feedback. I just won't talk very much, that way it won't matter.
Yeah, I'm not hearing anything. They're not saying anything else. Look.
And then add Skype in the sources down there at the bottom.
The video thing? Again?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just puts that big image.
Just uncheck it, I guess. Okay, it doesn't matter, y'all. Joelle's doing this presentation, so we can just not worry about me.
Yeah, we can see you.
Setting it would be in for the microphone.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Let me try...
There are also microphone settings on your webcam. Go to your webcam settings and make sure you're not using the microphone built into your webcam. Make sure, I think microphone's supposed to be off in the webcam settings.
Let's see. Settings. Audio inputs built in and audio output as system sound.
Put nothing, because that's your webcam. That's not what you're using for any of your audio anyway.
None.
Yeah.
Can you guys still hear me?
Talk some more.
Hello.
Oh yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, they think they said my audio is okay, but they can hear it. They can hear you, but just really you're really quiet. We'll just chat. You'll just chat. Because I just don't know what else should change. So if you think I did system sound and then the speakers from my headset, it wouldn't work, you don't think? You know what I mean?
I could try it. At this point, I don't know.
Yeah. I just didn't know if, like, then they would hear what I'm hearing. Oh. Alright, we'll try that.
Yeah. Okay.
Oop. Why did I just disappear? Oh,
Oh
it's
my
kind of...
god.
I think it's my computer is just very overwhelmed by everything that we're doing. It's like, oh god. Alright guys, let me know if you hear Laura any different. Just trying something else just to see.
I'll just let you do the intro and all that stuff.
Okay.
And I'll just let you know in the chat, like, what's going on in chat, so you don't have to flip over to that.
Alright. Oh, they said there she is. So maybe that was it.
Oh, okay.
Cool. Yay, that was it.
Yay.
Awesome.
Okay.
So I think it's because it's my... Now they're hearing what I hear in my head set.
Oh, good. Perfect.
Cool.
I'll tweet this out, and I'll let you get started.
Yeah, isn't it 12? Alright, I'll just give it like another minute or two.
Okay.
So it's gonna be confusing because Laura is not actually like on Skype, and I'm like kind of like putting her on my screen so you can see her video. So it'll be pretty
There might be
funny
a
how
delay.
I have to like arrange that. Yeah, and when I screen share, I'm gonna have to kind of arrange it so that I can still see you in the corner. So it'll be kind of funny. We'll get started in just a second. And Laura, will you keep an eye on Slack for me? Because I probably won't be able to switch between so many different things.
Yep.
With the way I have your
I
Skype set
will.
up.
You don't have to worry about Slack at all.
Alright. Let's see. A couple more minutes. Or one more minute. So how's everybody doing today? You guys excited for some Office 365 updates?
Or updates that they push out and then pull right back?
Yeah, like, definitely saw that with some of the web parts I'm going to be talking about. Or just like that work sometimes and don't work others, so that's always great. So we'll see what happens today. So far, not such a great technology morning.
I mean, you're supposed to put a fancy background on me and not green. I mean,
Sorry.
You're slacking.
Slacking so bad. Could you do that in XSplit? Is that how you do it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like the chroma. There's like a chroma setting.
Yeah. I'll figure it out one day. One day I'll have a green screen and I'll be in space. Alright, so I think it is 12 o'clock. So I'm going to go ahead and do the little video fun thing and then we'll get started. All right. So I'm going to do this so you guys can actually see Laura down here in the corner. If it has her name down there. Okay, so welcome to Power Hour. This is a weekly show that we do every Wednesday at 11 Central, 12 Eastern. And we basically just talk about a whole bunch of topics related to SharePoint and Office 365 and that kind of thing. So, if you're joining us for the first time today and you're watching on YouTube, then if you go in the comment or in the description of that video, you should see a link to sign up for our Slack channel, and that's where we do all our chatting. So we have a really awesome group of people over in our Slack channel, and they watch the videos weekly and come in and chat with us and talk about the topics that we're talking about, as well as helping each other with questions. It's kind of a great little community that we have going there. So definitely, if you're not in there, come sign up and check it out. So, Laura is joining today. And Laura, you guys all know Laura. Hey! And so I'm just kind of like pushing our videos together. It's not quite like right. So if you guys see any weird stuff with the videos, then apologies. We'll get it figured out eventually. So my name is Joelle. I am at IW Mentor. I'm a SharePoint consultant. Worked on SharePoint for 10 years now. And Laura, do you want to introduce yourself just in case we have any new watchers?
Hey, I'm Laura Rogers. I'm in Birmingham, Alabama, and my company is IW Mentor. We do SharePoint and Power Apps training.
Yes. And speaking of, we have a Power Apps training coming up in June. Is that right?
Yep.
All right, cool. All right, so we'll kind of get started today. If you guys saw a couple weeks ago, I did a video like this, basically just kind of doing a quick run-through of some new updates. So obviously we see articles and we hear about some of these updates as they come out, or we see tweets about them, but you may not, depending on how quickly you're getting Office 365 updates, or even if you have Office 365, you may not be able to actually test these out. So I think it's kind of fun to just jump in and test some of this stuff out and look at it in real time and kind of see how it all functions. So the big thing today, we have a couple different topics that I'll cover, but the biggest thing today that we're going to talk about are the site designs. So let me go ahead and get some stuff going here. And then we will, let's see.
And so we have customers asking about creating templates and what the whole save site is template, and wanting to have templates, but wanting to do it for like the modern stuff and with Office 365 groups. And so this whole template thing is the new way. It's called site designs, which I think is a little misleading nomenclature. Mm-hmm. But it's really your site template, and it's right now. And we had a customer the other day saying, I can't believe that PowerShell is the only way to do these site templates. I mean, that's crazy that that's the only option that we have. There isn't just a save site as template like there used to be. Well, this is what we have right now, and Microsoft's diligently working on it, but this is what they've put out so far, so we can at least use it and try it, and maybe in the future there will be like a prettier user interface. But it is a PowerShell thing right now, but it is very cool, and it lets you create a template and lets you, like, when people click the create a site button, it's going to be an option for them to pick from in the UI. So it's awesome. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and the thing is it is PowerShell for the initial setup, but for your users to actually use this site design, if you will, and apply that to a new site, it doesn't require PowerShell for them. It's basically whoever is kind of creating it, putting it out there, and then eventually, obviously, if you have to make changes and tweaks to that, you'll have to use PowerShell. But just to use it, just to apply it and use it, it's done through the interface, which makes it a little bit better than just, like, I think in the past we were working with PnP, and of course that had to be PowerShell. You had to go out there and run that every time to create a site, whereas this one you actually have the ability to create this kind of the design or the template, apply it, and put it out there. So I put in a link. That's why I paused for a second, because I was putting a link about this out in Slack, so you guys can go ahead and check that out. And they actually have a lot of documentation out there about what's currently available for the site design scripts. So I'll kind of pull this up and chat through it a little bit. So there's some site settings that you can do, and this is all with the actual script itself. the design itself, you're using JSON. And so they've actually put this stuff out there, and you can kind of easily go out, even if you don't know anything about JSON, you can use the guides that they put out here and really easily make a script to make it do what you want. So you can do things like, set the external sharing capability and regional settings. You can create site columns. You can add site columns to lists and libraries. You can create content types and site columns in those. You can create views. And then, of course, with all of that stuff, you can create lists and libraries, and then those are all the pieces that you can then add. And then add SP field XML. So that's really, you can do like just generic fields like, text and things like that. And then you can get into more advanced fields there. And then we also have like apps and solutions. So that gets a little bit more in depth, but that's like custom stuff. So the the SharePoint SPFX solution, you can kind of install those and add those into the site. So basically, triggering flows, you can join a hub, you can do quite a few different things in there in the script. And basically what happens is you basically write the script, you apply it to the site, and then a user goes out there, and when they go to create a new site, it just goes through and it runs through all of these things and does all these things that the script says. So let's go ahead and take a look. And one of the things I do want to point out about this link that is really helpful and what I've used a lot is down here where it says SharePoint Developer Documentation. If you click on that, then this actually has all the examples of the JSON schema. So it's my computer is the bandwidth is a little slow right now. Not a lot of bandwidth. All right, so here we actually have kind of a breakdown of all of those things. So if you are creating a new SharePoint list or library, it gives you an example of exactly what that would look like. And you have things like the verb is actually the action that's doing, so it's creating the SP list, the name, the template type, and then even has like a link up here to all the different template types. So you can do custom lists, document library, contacts, tasks, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, this is a really good resource, and this is really what I use to kind of create my first script for this. So let me go ahead and get PowerShell ISE up here, and I'm going to open up. First, let me just connect really quick. I'm going to connect to a site, and then I'll go ahead and show you guys the script itself. And we'll chat through that. All right. Okay. All right, so let's look at this now. So I just connected to my site with PowerShell. So basically, the first part of this.
You can remove our faces. You can I don't know, so they can see. I don't know if they need to see the blue part. If they do.
Yeah, I can move it around so we can we can see that. So basically, the site script. So this is something that I also kind of copied from that link that I put out there. And what this script is doing, I'll kind of go through each thing so you guys can see. So it basically starts out, it has actions. The first action is it's creating a SharePoint list. And it is actually the template type 101, which is document library, and it's a SharePoint library called customer documents. It's setting the description on that, and then it's even adding a field called customer name. So it's adding SP field type is text, display name, customer name, and as you can see, it has a couple of different attributes there that it's setting. And then it's going on, it's creating one called vendor documents, it's calling one called internal documents, and then it's also creating a customer contacts list, so it's adding that as well. And as you can see, obviously I could build on this, right? I just have it adding one field to one library, but I could continue and add as many fields and stuff like that as I need in this template. And then down here, what I have it doing is it's adding these things to the navigation to the quick launch. So it's adding customer documents, all those libraries, and that contact list as well. And then also at the very end, it is setting the external sharing capability to disabled. So let's say this specific site template that I'm using, I don't want people to be able to externally share anything. So And that's kind of the first part. You can see this is kind of the script here. And if it would be helpful, I can, once we're done, I can paste this into Slack, and then you guys can, take this and look at it and kind of get an idea of how it functions. So this initial part right here, what I would do is I would run this, and this first thing, it would just create this site script. So you see up here this value site script here. And of course, I know that there's probably people on watching that have a lot of experience with PowerShell, but I'm going to kind of talk at this like you really haven't used much PowerShell before.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Hey, is there a way to zoom in? It looks like it says 100% at the bottom right of the little ISE window. Is there a way to zoom in a little more on that actual window?
Let's see. Yeah, it looks like there is.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Yeah.
So right here I have the site script. It's basically a variable that I'm setting, and I'm setting it to this whole script here. And so actually I'm clicking on the wrong thing. There we go. So I'm setting it to that script. And I can just run this just to kind of do that initial set. And like Laura said, let me just move the faces really quick so you guys can see that. So basically I want to click this, and I'm just going to run this selection real quick. And then you'll see down here at the bottom, it just runs that, and then it ends. And what I just did is I basically just set this site script variable to this whole script that I wrote. And then the next thing that I do, there's two different lines. The first one is this add SPO site script. So basically what this is going to do is it's going to take that variable, that site script variable, and it's going to add it out in SharePoint as a script called create new customer site, and it's just going to add that out there.
My face is in the way. You can minimize me.
Huh? No, what you're seeing, Laura, is different from what they're seeing.
Oh, it is. Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay.
Yeah. You're out of the way for what they're seeing. So let me send this. So I'm going to run that. And then what that does, if you guys can see down here, is it gives me an ID, and that's the ID of the script out there. And then, of course, the title and the description is what I set up, and even a version. So as you can see, you can actually edit these as needed and update them. So if you have to make a change to the script. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this ID, and sorry, I'm trying to grab it without highlighting everything. And I'm going to copy that. And then the last thing that I have to do out here to kind of get this is basically what this next step is going to do, is it's going to push this script and make it an option. So when I'm creating a new site in SharePoint, I'm going to then see this thing called new customer site as a drop-down option. And I'll be able to select that, and it's basically going to create this site as I have scripted out here. So this one right here, I am going to just update this site scripts ID to the script that I just added, the ID that I just copied. So you guys can see that. And as you can see right here, I'm basically adding this site design. So this is when it turns from just being a script out there to now being an actual site design that users can choose. So add SPO site design, the title is new customer site. The web template is 64, so that's a team site. And then the site script, like I said, I just copied that ID. In the description, of course, I can just give it a description so that they know what it is. And then I'll just highlight this, and then I'll just run that piece of it. And the only reason I'm running these things separately is just so you can see them. Obviously, you can make this just one script, and then just run the whole thing. And then the only thing you'd have to be aware of is that you'd probably want to run the part right here where you need the ID, just because these two things, you have to run this one to get the ID, and then you have to input that ID. And of course you could, if you're good with PowerShell, you could do that with like variables and have it ask you for that ID before it runs and that kind of thing. So it really just depends on how often you use it. So before we go over to the site to actually look at how this all kind of applied and worked out, one thing that I do want to mention is what I typically like to do is record this ID. So there's another ID. So basically there is a design ID, so a site design ID. So when that design gets applied, it gets its own ID. And I like to usually just like record these somewhere. So this new customer site, I'm going to copy this one out. And I'll just put this here. New customer. And I put that there. And of course, you don't have to record it in the script. You can put it somewhere else. And the reason that I do that, now you can always go out and run. I think I can't remember exactly what the PowerShell thing is, but you can go out there and run something that's going to give you a list of all of your site designs, and you can get those IDs then. But the reason I like to kind of record them is because as I'm like testing, if I want to go out and remove something that I've added, then I have this remove SPF site design, and then all I need is just that ID that it had. So that's why I just usually paste that in somewhere because, right, especially when you're testing, right, you're not really, you don't want to have like this long drop down of all of these different, test site designs, so it's just kind of good to clean them up. But anyway, so I added that. So now basically what's happened is I've created the script, I've added it out there, and I've tied it to a site design. So now as a user, I can go to SharePoint. And let me go to, let's go here. Thinking, just basically go into the SharePoint home. No, that's not the SharePoint home.
It's taking its sweet time. Huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna try clicking over here and doing, okay, SharePoint. Now, of course, my dog is in here.
The new trendy thing, basically, just in case everybody doesn't know this, is to not create subsites anymore. Subsites are now the devil, just like folders used to be the devil. Subsites are the devil, and everything needs to just be an Office 365 group in one big flat structure.
Yeah. All right, so now what I can do is, as a user, I can come in. This is now my SharePoint home, and I can click Create Site. And I'm sorry, it is extremely slow right now.
We could just blame Microsoft for it being slow.
No, cancel. I don't want to leave. All right, so I'm going to click Team Site. And actually, it's not showing up. Did I not apply that right? Okay.
She has shown me this before, and it did work. It did show there.
I don't know why it's...
You could try just running the entire script and see if
try it again.
It's a difference.
Bear with me 1 second. I'm going to do that over.
I'm going to answer Larry's question about the no
please.
subsites thing. So if everything is an Office 365 group, then that's where hub sites come in. So hub site is the new like top level portal site. And for every Office 365 group you create, you just say which hub site it belongs to. Like you might have HR, marketing, IT, all of your different top level departments would be hub sites, and then everything can just then be an Office 365 group. The thing about having subsites and then subsites under those and etc. is that just one thing about it is that with search, the lower something is in the hierarchy, the less relevant it is automatically. So, and that's another reason not to create like these deep folder structures. So Robert, instead of subsites, you're just creating everything as an Office 365 group. So, and for a lot of companies, people have just been doing that anyway, just creating groups and like clicking the Create Site button like Joelle's doing here. And everything's an Office 365 group and everything's flat. And then that way you don't have that whole, just several negative things about the one big site collection with a bunch of subsites. And one of them was just that the fact that your single site collection could get too large, and just on the back end it becomes cumbersome. Of course, when you're on premises, that's more of a concern. But yeah, just Office 365 groups and communication sites are the new thing, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, there's choose a design.
Yeah, so I didn't rerun it. I just refreshed and then it showed up. Yay, SharePoint. Because I went back and looked at the script and I was like, no, it should be there. So there it is. Okay. So right here it says choose a design. So team site's the default. And then of course now there's 2 in here. So I'm going to go ahead. I think I click on this one. Hopefully it'll be right. So I click new customer site, and then you can see new collaboration site for customer, and this is that one that I just added. So this is that script that I just added. So I'm just gonna call this 1, 2, 3. Hopefully I don't already have one of those. Oop, I do. We'll just say customer, or just say Power Hour. How about that? All right, and I'll leave it at private. I'm gonna go ahead and click next. I'll just add myself. And finish. I'm sorry for the speed issues. It is normally not this slow, I promise. So in just a second, I should see this thing pop up over here. It might just take a second because it's so slow. Yeah, it's still thinking, so I think it will. No. Let me refresh.
So basically people were asking about that. Oh, Brad's asked about content types. Content type hub is what you want to use, Brad. So go to whatever your tenant name is, /sites/content type hub, one word. And that is your content type hub. That is the central place where you create all your content types. And when you create them there and publish them, then they get pushed out to all your site collections. So that is how you would manage your content types instead of at the site collection level.
Yeah, and I don't think this allows you to, let's see. Yeah, I think this one, currently using the create content type action. Yeah, I'm not sure if it even allows you through this script to add those content types yet. I mean, I know that it's something that you could do with like a PNP script, like a different script. You could then run that once your site's created. You could run that to add those. But this is really just like a brand new content type at the site level, like a site content type. So that's just something to keep in mind, that some of that stuff is lacking there.
Don't confuse a content type hub with a hub site, 2 completely different things.
Yeah, I think people do that too. So what it should have shown me, I think it's just because of the speed, is over here on the right-hand side. It would typically it will have like a list of what it's doing. So it'll show you that it's creating the libraries, it's adding the fields, it's doing those different things. So what we can see though is that on the left-hand side here, I have my libraries that were created. So customer documents is there, vendor documents, internal documents, and customer contacts. Those things were created on this site. So this is just a regular site that ran that script when I created it, and it added all of those things there. And if I go into customer documents, then I can see there should be a field in here. Once again, extremely slow. But I wonder if this is because I'm trying to do like Skype at the same time. I'm sure that's what it is. That's why it's so slow.
Probably. I can turn off my Skype video. That might help.
Yeah.
There.
So we'll see. Probably not, but we'll see. It's just wanting to be slow. All right, customer name. So that was the field that I had added in the script, so that I wanted to add this customer name field to this customer documents library, and it automatically did that for me. So that's really it. So basically, once you apply that that script and you add it as a site design, then your users have that ability to come out here, choose that as an option, and then use it, and it builds out all the libraries, potentially columns, and everything like that. So some things that it doesn't do web parts, but you do have the ability to do that with like a PnP script, which is just another way of doing, scripting in Office 365. But that actually has the ability to add modern web parts to a page. So what you could always do is have the site design kind of do the first bit of work, and then run another script on here to kind of add web parts and do different things like that, and permissions as well, because this doesn't quite handle permissions yet. I'm sure what's going to happen here though is this is just going to grow and become, you're probably going to be able to do a good bit more stuff in the site design script as they continue to add to it. But for now, it'd probably be two separate things, like one script initially just to create your lists and libraries and that kind of thing, and then the other to do maybe some permissions and web parts. But really, it is pretty neat that we can, set this up and at least have a site design that has specific libraries and specific navigation, and your user just, for them, it's as easy as going out and creating a site and then clicking an option in a drop-down. All right.
Yeah, we have a customer that they wanted in their template, they wanted to have permissions, and they wanted to have specific web parts on the home page and folders and some things that this site design thing just doesn't do yet. So we just didn't do a site design. We basically just created a regular old PnP PowerShell script that they would have to create a site, they'd have to actually just run the script and fill in what the new site name is going to be. But then it does everything. It creates the Office 365 group and then does all the stuff like the libraries and the permissions and the web parts and everything. But hopefully those two types of scripts will be married together at some point where you can at least put it together, like make one kick off the other or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would even if they don't build it into like the JSON stuff, if they just have it like ability to kick off one, like a PnP from it or something like that, like you were saying, that would probably be pretty good, at least in the interim.
So from what I tell, I guess whenever you do one of these site designs, it automatically is a team site, not a communication site, because...
So I think you can change that. I haven't actually tried it, so somebody who has may know better than I do, but in here... under Add SPO Site Design, there's a web template, and I think you can probably change this so that it can be a communication site instead.
Okay.
I assume. I haven't tried it, but I assume by seeing that value.
Yep.
So, and as you guys see, because I added this other one, there's two in here, and just like I mentioned before, what I can do is I can come here, and I'll just do the one I just did, and I can just run this script that removes it. So I'll just run that selection, and then I'll go back, and of course if my computer...
Jamie's asking about the template color. I saw something in there about colors.
Yeah. So there is design in there.
As you were scrolling through that reference document a minute ago, it had like site theme or something.
Yeah. Let's see. Apply theme.
Apply a theme. Okay.
Yeah. So you basically just have to know the theme name. So the verb is apply theme, and then the theme name.
Oh, okay.
And then you can apply that.
And what's the URL to the page you're on right now? Is that the one?
Yeah, it's linked on the
SharePoint developer documentation one?
Yeah, but I can put that in Slack.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'll put that over there.
So yeah, the themes are called blue, orange, red, purple, green, gray, dark yellow, dark blue. So those are all, when you click the little, SharePoint site theming link, that takes you to, I'll put it in the chat window.
Yeah, it has all those. And that's the good thing about their documentation is it's usually linked from there. And so now what we'll see is if I remove that, so now I should only see the two. So real easy to add and remove them into the site. And like I said, I think you can do the same thing here, because like right now in communication site there's topic, showcase, and blank. Those are just the default ones. I'm pretty sure there's probably a web template value for communication site so that you can add those, add some to there as well.
Yeah, and with hub sites though, once you join a hub site, you get the theme from that hub site.
Yeah. Yep, that will inherit that. And you can actually join a hub site from the script, so you can add that into your script. Yeah, so like let's say if one of your things was like HR, like your script template, your design was called like HR because it's like an HR site, and they need to have all this, and it has a hub, and it needs to have all these specific libraries and lists and stuff like that or something. It is right here. Join a hub
Join
site.
a hub site. Oh, okay, well, you have to know the ID of it. That's cool.
Yep. And so then you can get that and add that.
And Joelle did another Power Hour where she showed how to create hub sites, and that's also a PowerShell thing right now.
Yes. I think that won't be forever a PowerShell thing, but it is for now. I think I'm assuming I'm sure you guys, if you guys have been in the admin center, you've seen that, like, kind of talking about, like, the new admin center coming, and I think I heard potentially that those features might eventually be added there, like basically clicking and making something a hub site through that interface, maybe an eventual thing. All right. So yeah, any questions on that? We do have other topics, so I have some other new features we'll talk through. But specifically on the script, is there any
no
questions? Okay.
Jamie was just chiming in that 68 would be the communication site template.
Cool. Thank you for finding that.
Can you change your screen resolution to 720 by 1280? I think that might help with some of this stuff. Because it was kind of blurry when you were scrolling through that web page.
Oh, there. I think, is it just because are you looking at YouTube?
No, it's blurry in YouTube. It's not blurry
in YouTube. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we posted links to all this stuff anyway for them to peruse, but yeah, just help.
Just give me a second. I gotta figure out how to do it.
Okay. It's just 720 by 1280 by 720. Yeah, that's the best one. That's gonna go with YouTube. Cool.
All right.
Thanks. I always forget to do that when I first start these things.
No, I can't see that. Okay. Where's my stuff? I just have to minimize this.
Okay.
Sorry, my...
It's okay. And didn't a bunch of new web parts come out and then they disappeared?
So I still have them. But yes, they did disappear from somebody I was working with.
Awesome.
Alright, so let's talk about some of these web parts here. Sorry, I'm just, with changing my display, I can't, like, see my navigation anymore.
Oh, crap.
It's alright. Alright, so I can see it over here, I just can't see it on the other side. Okay, so some of these new web parts. So one of the big ones that came out was the planner web part. So now what you can do, which I think is pretty nifty, because a lot of times people don't want to go, from their site over to Planner. And they like to be able to just do everything right from within their site. So we actually have the ability to do that. So this web part started rolling out, and has not rolled out to everyone. But obviously that just depends on your settings for getting new features. But basically, if I click Add and I scroll down, I have a Planner web part. I can add that. And then what I can do is, depending on obviously this is a group, and I have created a plan for this group already. But if I hadn't yet, I could actually create a new one from this screen. I can click Add New Plan and add a new one. Or I can connect to an existing one that's related to this plan, or related to this group. So I have one already. And then I can decide, do I want to show the actual board, so the full planner board, or do I want to show the chart, which is basically just some kind of high-level analytical information about my tasks in Planner. So I'm going to do board to start, and we'll go ahead and publish that. Oh, something weird happened. Let's see if it actually saved. Sorry, my resolution's a little... So yeah, I can see, hopefully you guys can see that. But I have the board here. It does have a scroll because I have like multiple buckets in my planner. So if I kind of scroll over here, guys can see that. So what I would recommend doing is, of course you can put this on like your homepage or whatever, but this would probably be even best to just create a page and add it to like your navigation over here. So, and then add the board to it. So that way they could see it right from here. So what's really neat about this though is I can add tasks and edit them right from within here. So if I click this, it's going to open up right from within the site, and I can like make changes to it, which is really cool. It's not just visual. So at first I thought it would probably just be visual, and then you'd actually have to go to Planner to make any changes, but no, they've actually made it so you can add and edit your tasks right from within here without having to go over to Planner. And like I said, I'd probably put this in a section on a page by itself so that you wouldn't have as much of a scroll, and you could get as much real estate as you need to kind of see all those tasks and stuff. So that's pretty cool. I like that we were able to kind of put those things together. Another thing that you can do there, let me go edit, is I can switch this web part to the charts view. And this one has less interaction. But basically, this is just that charts view, so it shows the status, how many tasks are left, how many are in progress, how many are late, how many are not started, you know, who has the task, what's unassigned, what's assigned, and then, of course, like the status is down here. So just kind of a high level, so it looks like you can click on these things, you know, it kind of highlights and looks cool, but it doesn't actually drill down into anything right now. So I think eventually that would be pretty cool if you could click on this and actually get taken to Planner and see that, but for right now it's just kind of informational. But it's still pretty cool. That would probably be a better thing for like a homepage, right? So you can kind of see where your tasks
people
are
love
at.
pretty charts. Give us cool stuff on our homepage. That's what they always say.
And then they can actually go to Planner to manipulate it, or you can have, like I said, add a page and add that web part to it.
Davina asked, do you know off the top of your head, Joelle, if they fix the issue where something is deleted in Planner, it's not recoverable? I don't recall that. I didn't know.
I don't think that's still the case, as far as I know.
Yeah. I don't know where you'd go to recover it.
Yeah,
though.
Exactly. I don't think there's anywhere to go to recover. There's no recycle bin there yet. So I'd have to look into it, but I think that's still the case. I haven't seen any change on that. All right. So let me go ahead and I'm just gonna delete this guy, and let's go over to Planner real quick. I want to show just one thing that kind of is new that's I've heard people ask for with Planner, and then we'll come back and we'll look at some other web parts that I have out here that are definitely a little bit kookier. Alright, so let me go to Planner. So, a lot of people have asked me in the past to be able to like sync their tasks from Planner to Outlook. And in the past, it's kind of been not really an option, or there's definitely like, you know, quirky workaround ways to kind of do that. But now they actually have an option directly within Planner to do that. So basically, what you do is you go to My Tasks, and then once you're under My Tasks, of course, these are the things that are assigned to you. Then you could go ahead and add My Tasks to Outlook Calendar. And then you can publish, and it gives you a calendar link, and basically it creates another calendar inside of Outlook for you that's specifically your Planner tasks, and then you can kind of get in there and see all of that without having to go into Planner to get to it. So I can just add this to Outlook.
I was reading someone's blog post. I just posted it in the chat window, and I tweeted it from IW Mentor today. Basically, he had been testing this and basically wrote this blog post called "You Might Want to Turn Off Outlook Sync in My Task and Planner."
Oh, really?
So basically, he was just talking about how like the bugginess of it and the limitation of it, and like there's barely any information that you get
just like
in your My Task, and it's kind of a mess. So it's brand new, right? So just kind of a heads up there that it is brand new and it doesn't have as probably some stuff you'd expect it to do. You might not see it in there. So
yeah. All right. Well, then we'll just stop talking about that one. But it's out there.
Yeah, well, it's definitely something that people want to do.
Yeah,
and ask
I've
for.
heard it.
It's just
Yeah, it's new, very new. I think like literally in the last like 2 weeks, it's that new. So, all right. So let's see. Let's go back to the page we were on before, and let's take a look at these other web parts that have been popping in and out of tenants. So in my tenant, when I click to add a new web part, I see all of these new options. So I see a lot of third-party things like Asana and Bitbucket, Facebook pages, Google Analytics, GitHub Enterprise, Jira. You can see a bunch of different ones. RSS, Salesforce. Let's see, there's Trello, there's User Voice, there's all kinds of different things that I see here. Now, all of these things, they're linked to specifically one web part called Office 365 connector. So all of those are specific connectors that I can get to through this one here. And so I'm not sure exactly when this is rolling out, and I haven't heard like a ton about it, but I was able to kind of play around with it and get it to function a little bit. So I did just do something simple, just an RSS feed, because I do get customers, believe it or not, that still want RSS feeds on homepages and things like that, either from a public blog that they have or another news channel that they're using. So this actually does allow me to add an RSS feed. So I can go ahead, I'm just going to do it through the O365 connector. I'm going to go ahead and add that. And this was a hit and miss, I think like a week or so ago when I was playing with it, it was hit and miss on whether or not it would load. So definitely something that's new still. So here's RSS. As you can see, in addition to those ones that were listed out there, I actually have a lot of connectors here. So this will be really interesting to see how this grows, especially things like Salesforce and stuff, because we're constantly getting people, asking questions about kind of syncing or looking at data in SharePoint from Salesforce and that kind of thing. And of course, there's been ways to do that, but seeing something where it could be, a couple of clicks is pretty interesting. So basically, I'll go back to RSS feed, and this one's pretty straightforward. Let me scroll back up. So I'm going to add that, and then I just enter a name, and I'm actually going to do one for CMS Wire, which is a great news source for stuff about intranets and things. And so I'm going to go ahead and add that address RSS, and then I can choose how frequently that it gets updated. So I could even have it as frequently as every 15 minutes, and then I save that. And sometimes what I did notice is, this one kind of came in pretty quickly, but what I did notice when I was first playing around with some of these, because I actually did Trello and a few of those as well, just to kind of see how they worked. But it did take a few minutes for the data to show up. I did notice that. So if you don't see it right away, maybe refresh or go away and come back and check it, because it did show up eventually.
Todd was asking, is the same connectors that we see in Teams? I wonder, maybe?
It's probably pretty much the same. I mean, some of those things I did notice are the same, so I'm assuming it's pretty much the same exact things that we're seeing out there. One thing I did notice, this is just specific to the RSS, and I'm not sure if it's something that with some of the more advanced ones like Salesforce and things like that, if it would change, but I did notice that with this RSS, I didn't really have, oh, no, it actually showed this many items at a time. I think it did, now it's letting me do it, because I noticed the other day that it didn't have this option, didn't allow me to pick items. But let's see, it says 4, but it's showing me a lot more than that, so that's where it's kind of interesting. So if I do 10, does it just show me 10? 1, 2... No, that's showing me more than 10. Yeah, that's kind of one thing, because with an RSS feed, you kind of want to be able to control how much is taking up your page. And I did notice that it didn't really give me an option. It looks like it does, but then, as you can see, it's not really actually applying that to it. So that's kind of interesting. And so let's see. So that's the RSS feed, and you can go in and configure the connector. And then you guys can see that you have a bunch of different options there. So this, I think, is this is really, really new. So if you're talking about clunkiness, I'm sure there's going to be some clunkiness with this, because I think I'm the only tenant I can find that actually has it, that I know. Obviously, I'm sure other people have it, but
right, I don't have it.
Quite a few people that don't have it.
Yeah.
Even those that tend to get that stuff released early.
Random.
Yeah, very random. And then I did notice one had it, and then it went away. So.
How did you get to that connector screen again? Is that a web part?
Yeah.
It's a web part called Office 365 Connector?
Mm-hmm. That's what brings up that big screen of all the choices. But they also had, like I was saying, they also have let's Let's see, it's loading.
Maybe so, like how you were seeing them all listed as separate web parts in yours.
Yeah.
Maybe they're switching it from, instead of them all being listed as separate web parts, just making it so you
They're just
add a
under that one.
connector and then you pick one. I don't know.
That's what I would assume.
No idea.
I thought it was interesting because they do the same thing, right? Because I actually tried that
Yeah.
to see if it was different than what the connector was. But like RSS, if I click RSS here, it does the exact same thing as it does if I click Office 365 connector and then click RSS. So it's kind of interesting. But yeah, so we'll see what happens with those web parts and see if they like start rolling out totally or if they kind of tweak it before they start rolling it out to everyone. Another thing I did notice is Google Analytics. That's kind of cool. I haven't actually tried that out because I don't have a site that I'm using Google Analytics on right now, but I think that's pretty neat because I have actually had projects in the past where they were using Google Analytics to monitor analytics on their intranet, which you can do. There is a way to do it. And they were like, oh, but we always have to go to Google and like log in and then look at all that data. So if there's a way to bring some of that data over, or at least show it on a SharePoint page, that would be pretty cool. I know that would have helped quite a few customers.
You could also pull Google Analytics into Power BI and do some extremely fancy stuff.
Yeah.
That way too, if you really needed to. Can you click the little expand button in your web part list of web parts so they can see like how it puts them all in categories and stuff too? Yeah. Stacy asked, do you know if when you connect to feeds, does the text for the feeds take up any storage space in your environment? I wouldn't imagine that it would. I would think that it's just directly
loading,
looking at that text from wherever it is, connecting to it, but I'm not sure. It would just be text, though. I can't imagine that particular one would take up that much space.
I wouldn't think so. I think that's probably a page load more than anything.
Yeah.
It's loading on the page load. I do see Microsoft Power Apps preview in here.
Oh, yeah. Power Apps web part.
Yep. That's coming.
We have been able to embed Power Apps on pages like for the longest time, but there's going to be an official web part, so that's good.
Which might be a little bit easier to hopefully adjust and look at. But yeah, so that just kind of shows the break. This is a lot better of looking at all of the web parts than in the actual just that tiny little box. But as you can see, these ones are out here. All right, so that's that. We'll kind of see. I just wanted to kind of show that that's something that I noticed out there, and it does appear to be functioning. So we'll kind of probably circle back on that in a couple of months and kind of see where it's at and what we can actually do with it. I'm gonna even try to connect to some more. I'd love to be able to get like a Salesforce thing running and see what that looks like and how that works. I might try to work on that at some point, just for a test.
Yeah.
All right, so another thing, if there's no questions about those connectors right now.
Nope. Oh, Sue Phillips says, have you just been using embed with an iframe to get your Power Apps in the SharePoint? Yes. I'll put a link to the blog post, Chris, that I wrote about how to do that.
All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is search. So they have updated, and it's been pushed, the search interface. We're starting to get a little bit better in Modern.
Good, finally.
Not customizable yet, so that's kind of the thing I'm still waiting on, and we'll talk a little bit about that once we get out there. But it is definitely quite a little bit better than it was in the initial kind of rollout of Modern. So when you click on search, and of course this is search whether on your site or if you're at the SharePoint home, back here you can search and kind of get all of this stuff as well. So you click on search, it's going to give you things that it thinks, just like in this drop down here, that are relevant to you. So popular things that you've clicked on before, things that seem relevant to you, it's going to kind of provide that for you here before you even start typing anything, which I think is pretty neat. And then as you start typing, it's going to narrow it down, right? So now I can see there's news on training, and then there's these documents that have training in the title. So I think that's pretty cool. And then what will happen is I can click see more results for training here. And now, I'll show you that in a second, but now I have files, sites, and then news. So if I click on files, it's going to show me the documents, and then I can actually hover over an item, and then, if you can see here, this is just a very creative presentation where it says test presentation. But I can see the preview like we've had in Search before. And then what I think is kind of cool is, which wasn't always clear in previous Search result pages, is that I can see the training presentation, and then on the site it tells me where it's at, and then who it was modified by, and then I can even open it in a new tab if I wanted to. And then what's really cool is if I click, it says Site Hub, but if I click on this, it actually brings me directly to the library that it's in. So it doesn't just take me to the overall site, it brings me directly to the library. So that's pretty good interface change that I like. So you have either clicked right on the document, or you can go to the library that it's in, and there's even like a folder down here that it's showing as well. And so we have sites, so there's no sites that apply to that. And then we even have news. So if I click news, I can actually see the news article here. I can expand that and get like a preview of like, you know, the first couple of lines of that article. And then I can just click here to continue reading. So even without like, if I'm just looking for a specific news item in my site, I can easily search that without even having to, you know, click into it to see what it is. So that's kind of nice. So definitely I'm seeing a big change here, and hopefully we'll just kind of continue to see this get better. Another thing is filters. So this is still, as far as I know, not customizable. This is something that I really want to see us be able to change, because I do that a lot. A lot of times on intranets, people want to customize the filters because people are kind of trying to sort by specific keywords or something within their organization. So being able to do that would be really nice. But right now it's just the standard, modified, and I think even file type. If we go to files, you'll see like file type as well. And then of course, when you want to exit, which is pretty nice, if you click exit search here, instead of having to click back and kind of getting lost as to where you were, this is kind of popped out over wherever you were, whatever site you were on before. So if you click exit, it just takes you right back to wherever you were, which is kind of nice. Because sometimes, depending on like if you're searching on a library or searching, you know, at the SharePoint home, clicking back may not always be what you want. So being able to just click the exit is kind of nice as well. All right. So that's just the new search features, and I think that's pretty much it that I had to cover today. Anything else, Laura, that you want to mention?
No, I mean, I've been working on, we need to mention Power Hour at the SharePoint conference.
Oh, yeah.
Joelle and I are going to be doing live Power Hour in the Podcast Center at SPC in Vegas.
Yep.
That is in a couple of weeks. If y'all are there, it's going to be on the 23rd, and we're slated for like 10:30 to 12. So, but that's like, let's see, that's 12:30 Central. So it'll be a different time Central. Anyway, I'll post that somewhere. But yeah, so if you're there, check us out, and that'll be a lot of fun. I have no idea what we're going to cover. Probably just going to cover stuff we saw at the conference. And one of the sessions I'm presenting at the conference is on just like flow and how to do approvals in there. And I noticed that just today, the content approval action in Flow actually works. Mm-hmm. So it was there before, but it didn't actually work. So now it does. And they're rolling out like just new stuff in Flow, just constantly having to do with making approvals easier and stuff. So I'm excited about that. So we can cover that in another Power Hour too.
Yeah.
I noticed that they got rid of the email and approval action, and it's just the approvals action now. That way it's not as confusing. That's good. Anyway, yeah, that's all I had.
All right.
And I don't know what we're covering next week in Power Hour.
Yeah, we'll figure that out and send an email about it.
Jamie says he will be there at the live Power Hour. Cool.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Jamie.
Be among all the excitement.
Yeah. SPC. Woohoo. All right. Cool. Well, thanks for presenting today, Joelle. And sorry about Skype being weird. I have no idea. But, it's all good. And I learned a lot.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And I hope if you like these just like once a month or once every few months, like updates, quick update sessions, let us know if you like that format, and we'll keep doing it.
They seem to like it because that last one you did had a ton of views, like thousands of views on it. So
cool. Yeah, we'll just do these every time there's like a good group, like an hour's worth of updates.
Yeah.
Then we'll do one of these things and just kind of run through them so you guys can see them.
All right.
All right, guys, have a good one.